For years, the United States and the Allies believed they had found the ultimate pressure point against China. One machine, one technology, and extreme ultraviolet lithography, EUV. Without it, you cannot make the world's most advanced chips. No cutting-edge AI processors, no next-generation smartphones, and no advanced military electronics. The West was confident China had been locked out for at least a decade. But now that confidence is cracking, because inside a high-security facility in Shenzhen, Chinese scientists have done something few thought would be possible. They have built a working prototype of an EUV lithography machine. It hasn't made chips yet, but it is generating EUV light. And in the chip war, that changes everything. Hello and welcome back to TFI Global. To understand why this matters, we need to understand what EUV really is. Extreme ultraviolet lithography uses light with a wavelength of just 13.5 nanometers. This is smaller than many viruses. That light is used to carve unimaginably tiny circuits onto silicon wafers. This is how you make 7 nanometer, 5 nanometer and even a 3 nanometer chip, the kind that powers AI models, supercomputers and advanced weapon systems. EUV machines are not just complex, they are arguably the most complicated machines humanity has ever built. Each unit weighs around 180 tons and costs about $250 million and contains tens of thousands of ultra-precise components. For years, only one company on earth could make them, Advanced Semiconductor Materials Lithography, ASML of the Netherlands. Since 2018, under heavy US pressure, the Dutch government banned ASML from selling EUV machines to China. This became the single most powerful weapon in the tech Cold War. The logic was simple. No EUV means China stays permanently behind TSMC, Intel and Samsung. Washington believed this choke point was airtight. After all, ASML spent nearly 2 decades and billions of euros to perfect the EUV. Many experts said China was at least 10 years away from even attempting this. But necessity has a way of accelerating innovation. According to Reuters, what China built in Shenzhen is being quietly described as its own Manhattan project for semiconductors. This was not a normal research program. It was secretive, centralized, and directly linked to national leadership. Huawei played a key coordinating role. Oversight reportedly came from officials close to President Xi Jinping. Thousands of engineers were involved. Some lived on site. Communication was restricted and work was done under surveillance. China also focused on the one thing sanctions cannot fully stop: human expertise. Former ASML engineers, many Chinese born and retired, were recruited with massive incentives. They worked under alliances, subsystems were reverse engineered, and second-hand equipment was acquired through intermediaries. Teams of young engineers reportedly spent years disassembling and rebuilding the components, piece by piece. And then came the breakthrough. The machine generated EUV light. Let's be clear, this prototype is crude by global standards. It is massive, inefficient, and nowhere near commercial production. But generating EUV light is the hardest part of the entire system. Many experts believe this hurdle alone would stop China for a decade. Now that assumption is gone. Chinese officials are targeting working chips by 2028, though insiders say 2030 is more realistic. Either way, that is years, not decades away. This compresses China's semiconductor timeline dramatically, and it weakens the most powerful tool of Western export controls. First, export controls lose leverage. If China can eventually produce EUV domestically, restrictions no longer guarantee technological dominance. Second, the world moves closer to two parallel chip ecosystems, one Western-led and the other Chinese-led. Third, talent becomes the real battleground. Machines can be embargoed, knowledge cannot. And finally, this raises a hard truth for policymakers. Sanctions can slow progress, but they can also force breakthroughs. ASML has downplayed the news, reminding everyone that commercial EUV took decades of refinement, and that is true. China still lacks ultra-precise optics like those from Germany's Carl Zeiss. Reliability, yield, and miniaturization remain massive challenges, but the direction is unmistakable. For Beijing, semiconductor independence is not just about economic policy. It is national security, technological sovereignty, and survival in a world of strategic rivalry. This EUV prototype does not end the chip war, but it marks a turning point. The era when the West could assume permanent technological superiority is fading. What began as a crude prototype in a guarded Shenzhen facility may one day reshape the global balance of power. The question is no longer if China will challenge the semiconductor order. The question is how fast and how prepared the world is for what comes next. Thanks for watching.